Alright, BobalosRex here, and let me start this off right, okay? Y'all know the title, so y'all know what this is, okay? So, let me start. If you hate Evokers, and you don't want Evokers to succeed, then leave, get out of here. This is a video for Evokers, okay? Listen, this is for the dragons, okay? This is for the dragons, okay? I played a dragon, I mained for a bit. You know, my true main is Demon Hunter. My current main is Monk. But I was a dragon for a bit, and I like dragons, and this video is for dragons, okay? So if you hate them, be gone. Alright? Because this video is my lore rant, and it's what if Evokers, Drakthir Evokers, had an order hall. Got an order hall, okay? So this could be in the future if order halls come back. This could be if, for whatever reason, we do get them in Legion Remix and they get some stuff, okay? I don't know. But you know what? I want to talk about it because I came up with some ideas, right? Because here's the thing. Evokers don't have a heritage, you know? So could we see a merging of a heritage and a class hall campaign, maybe? But then you'd have to be like, oh, well, what about the non Evoker Drakthir? And it's like, true. So that may not work there. So, but Evokers or Drakthir could get a heritage armor. So some of this storyline stuff I'm going to talk about in a bit could work in a heritage armor down the line. You know, we do got two left, Pandaren and Drakthir. But this is about Evokers, okay? Evokers. You know, it would be interesting. You know what? I just thought of right now. Say we get the Evoker Order Hall, right? Could that be the beginning of Drakthir teaching? Or there's always my other idea, but could that be a way to get evokers of other races, right? Realistically, that doesn't make sense. You know, there's my idea for other race evokers comes down to visage forms. Y'all know that's my ideal way to do it, but they could do something like that, you know, and turn some of the breath cast to where you just summon a dragon, right? And make it more, because it already is a caster, right? So instead of deep breath you turn into a dragon, deep breath you summon a dragon, and you see more like a draconic caster version of Evoker. I wouldn't like that. I think the easiest way to get Evokers to other races is to use visage forms, in my opinion. Okay, but again, this is about Order Hall, campaign, artifact weapons, legendaries, right? We're talking the full Legion experience, basically. So, where would the Order Hall be? I think a big answer for a lot of people, okay? I think a big answer for a lot of people, and my initial answer, honestly, would be the Forbidden Reach. You know, maybe you head back to your old Wyrm grounds, and we actually fix the Forbidden Reach. And you have... If this was an Order Hall, it'd be a big Order Hall, okay? If they used the whole Forbidden Reach, it'd be a big Order Hall. If the Order Hall was right at the starter, Kretch, that'd be a decent size. But then you think, like... So it'd be a phase version of Forbidden Reach, so then you have to rephase to go in there. I feel like the Forbidden Reach one, the more I think about it, has problems, but it does feel right, okay? Another one I had, which, you know, ain't really the best one, would be something in Valdrakken, like an Evoker district in Valdrakken. But again, that doesn't feel right. And the more and more I've thought about it, I feel like a repurposed Aberrus would kind of be cool, right? This is where Evokers were made, okay? Remember that. This is where they were made. They were housed and trained in the Forbidden Reach, but this is where they were made. So I think the Evokers being in like a hidden laboratory and doing stuff would be kind of cool. You know, but again, you can also have a spot in the Forbidden Reach. Maybe it's a spot in the Forbidden Reach. Maybe it's over by where Adamantia was. So, I think that was over here. Hold. All right, but yeah, Adamantia was like over here. So it could just be a different spot of the Forbidden Reach, one far away, so they don't really have the zoning problem. But I do really think, if I were to pick, right now my choice would be Aberus. Okay, there could be some other places. I also thought, you know, maybe we get a Black Rock in Blackwing Lair Orderall. When I was thinking about, hey, hidden lairs, you know, there's always Blackwing Lair. The Drakthir, like, hey, this area in the old world is vacant now. You know, Rathian told us about it. Let's give it some love. Let's hang out there. But I do actually feel like their order hall should be on the Dragon Isles somewhere. Now, with the order hall, if we get mission tables, I'm like, there's plenty of Drakthir like throughout the story of Dragon Isles that would be good for like companions and whatnot, you know. So I feel like a mission table for them. Like here, I'm gonna go walk through Aberus here as we go, because this place is cool. I don't know if I'm gonna be killing bosses though, but we have storylines that can be continued here in a campaign, and this could be like heritage stuff. Adamantia, the mother of Drakthir, basically, okay, who was imprisoned by Deathwing. Like, she could be doing a whole bunch of stuff. Like, look at how great this place is. I think this could be a good order home. For sure. But Adamantia, Emberthal could be leading it, because her and the Ebon Scales. You basically, with Emberthal, maybe join the Ember Scales and you do more of that stuff, you know? Look at that. This place is so cool. But yeah, maybe you become a part of the Ebon Scales, or she wants to reform her Kretch, right? Maybe she wants to reform her Kretch, and by the end of the Order Hall, you know how all the Order Halls have like a title you get? For Evokers, you get Scale Commander. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be really cool. You know, you can see Wing Lord Desrin. You know, maybe we get some aspects continued lore to see. That'd be a good way to show us, like, what's going on in the Dragon Isles, you know, after. You know, I know there was stuff in the book, but I mean, for players who just play the game, I think that'd be good. And of course, because it's a remix, you got Infinite, you got Bronze Dragons. You know, there's precedent in the lore for something like this to work out, since they're already talking about shattered timelines. You know, wouldn't you want some bronze? Wouldn't there be, since Drakthir are basically joining the different flights as well, right? That's what we kind of learned. Is the Drakthir are kind of just like joining the flights if they want, or joining the Horde, the Alliance. They're free to do what they want. They're basically free to do what they want. And some of them are joining the flights. So you'd see Drakthir in the Bronze flight, Drakthir in the Infinite flight at this point, in my opinion. And we're doing Shattered Timelines. Yeah, that's what they called it, Shattered Timelines. So you can have some Infinite Evokers, Bronze Evokers. You know, very well added in this. Now, that's order halls, that's campaign stuff. What else? Artifact weapons. I feel like an order hall would actually be an easier add, especially if you use like an already well-known place, like an Abyss, like a part of Abyss or something. I feel like an order hall would be an easier add. A campaign, again, you just add quests in the old world or in a specific area. And I guess for Remix, a campaign for Evokers would probably have to be Bronze Infinite, because where I don't think you could have Emberthal and Adamantia popping up in Legion Remix. But they could have a very... You know what? That does work out. So yeah, you have an Infinite and Bronze Dragon questline campaign for Evokers. That would be their Class All campaign, which would take place in the Remix. Okay? Because you can't really have them... You could have the new Order Hall be outside of time. The Timeway thing. See, that's where it gets a little funky. But yeah, you could, if it is related to... If they do make the campaign related, then you can basically... Oh my god, that would be the hugest hint. If they reveal the return of Order Halls in Midnight, then you could theoretically have a storyline, right? Where the Infinite and Bronze are like, hey, since we're going to this timeline, Evokers, we already have an Order Hall. It's a little bit in the future. It's a little bit in the future, but it's fine because we got time magic. You see what I'm saying? That would be cool. That'd be cool. They're like, because we got time magic, we can go back. We can go to our future Order Hall in the timeline. You know, it's fine. Because we're going to be there. We're going to be needing it anyways. Okay. So, this is a lot of work. I'm not even... Here's the thing. I'm not delusional about the amount of work this would be. That's why if it's in the 0.7, I'm like, they're hard at work now? Could they get enough done? Man, I just want to be hopeful, right? So, but like I said, it could work because we got Infinites, because we got Bronze Dragons, because that is involved in Remix. Like, they do make it a little bit lore friendly, and that's kind of cool. They could do something like that. Now, and yeah, honestly, I only see Evokers getting an Order Hall in Remix if Order Halls are coming back in Midnight. And some people will be like, oh, but why do Order Halls and housing? And I'm like, why not? Why not? I think Order Halls is one of the most beloved features, in my opinion, in the campaigns, in the class stuff. I think Legion is beloved because of the class stuff. At least for me. And that's what I base it on. I think it's beloved for the class stuff. Now, artifact weapons. If Evokers... Maybe if we don't do the Order Hall thing. Say Evokers don't even get the Order Hall, don't get the campaign, but they're going to be in Legion and they need some stuff, right? You know? Artifact weapons. Could they do some artifact weapons for Evokers? I think they could. Okay? Because you did have a lot of the quest lines that ended up in, like, specific places. Like, you had the Vrykul. Here, let's pull up the map. So you had... one that had you end up in like a Vrykul area up here, right? They had a couple up here. They had a couple in Tyr's Tomb. So we know for a fact if the classes are going to get their artifact weapons, right? If that is the thing, that we go get our artifact weapons in Legion Remix, we're going to be going to these old world places to pick up stuff. So Tyr's Tomb. There were a lot on the Broken Isles itself. Okay. We had Tyr's Tomb. You had Karazhan. And again, Legion Remix. What was in it? Karazhan. You know, we were able to teleport to the dungeons from Mists of Pandaria. Are we going to only be teleporting into Karazhan? Or are we going to be able to go to Deadwind Pass for a little instance area of Deadwind Pass that you can only go so far? What's going to happen with that? I don't know. And maybe they're just not going to allow it, right? Maybe it's going to be you port to Karazhan. But that's the thing. In Mop, they just had to teleport to the dungeon because the dungeon was just new, right? The dungeon was remixed in Mop, so they added it in Mop as part of Mop. Karazhan, you got to do some quests here. There was some story here. I wouldn't like them cutting that. But if we can at least do the dungeon, that'll be fine. You'll probably need it for M+ either way. But it does, like I said, if we are going to get the artifacts, if we are going out here, we are going to be having little pockets of the old world used. And that's kind of cool. So they can do it if they do that. And I think they can. I think they can. Though, if it is like Mop Remix in... which we only have one to go off of, we would be locked here, and we'd get Argus. If that's it, and you don't go get the artifacts, you don't go to the Order Halls, because they could have portals to the Order Halls, but like, say for Lights Hope Chapel, right? The Order Hall comes out. Would it just not let you come out? Would the world just be open for Legion Remix? I don't think so. I don't think the world could be open. But I don't know. That's the thing, right? We only have one remix to go off of. Now that we will get two, that's when we'll know. You know? And they are saying it's like Diablo. But we'll have to see. Either they use portals, little instance versions, or everything strapped to Legion. You know, we could still get the artifact weapons, right? You could still get the artifact weapons. Maybe no quests, which would kind of suck. But it'd be nice to have the artifact weapons. But here, let's get into the artifact weapons. So because I actually wanted to be hopeful for this. And this video is what if Drakthir got all this cool stuff. So where could we put some Evoker weapons, right? So I took the specs and I broke down like what dragonflights they are, and I was like, let's come up with some like a little bit of lore for the dragons on the fly. So here's one for Devastation. An ancient blue dragon focusing orb locked in the Nexus, right? We see the Nexus quest lines that bring you to the Nexus to get some artifacts. With the Zuri Ghost, there's a couple of them. I think the Arcane Mage and Disciplined Priest, or some of them, or the only two. But, you know, put a blue dragon relic there. You know, I was thinking like a mini focusing iris. A dragon focusing iris with like a dagger. Because, you know, we do see artifact weapons with the main hand, offhand kind of dealio. Another Devastation one I had is, because you have the Vrykul stuff in the Broken Isles, right? Maybe you go to Shield's Rest, and there's an ancient blade of red proto-dragon scales, and it was used by ancient dragon slayer Vrykul, and you have just like really cool fire dragon sword. I'm thinking like Monster Hunter Great Sword style looking. I think that would be cool. Now for augmentation, we're working with the black, we're working with the bronze. So we're in Broken Isles. We got Deathwing, ancient armament hidden away by Deathwing. While he was in High Mountain, he thought about his Evokers. He thought about them. And while he was thinking about his Evokers, he was like, man, I want to make them a really cool sword. And then maybe Augmentation gets the really cool great sword. Like a black dragon blade. Like, think Ash Candy, you know? But made by Deathwing himself. Then I had for Evoker, so bronze, so we got, maybe some bronze dragon links since we're doing timeline stuff. Hourglass of Time. You have a cool offhand Hourglass. We've already got like a couple of offhands like that, but imagine like different versions, artifact weapon styles for it, which I think would be cool. And it could be an artifact hidden away in Karazhan. Very easy, something like that. The Dark Riders stole it from a Bronze Dragon, and it got locked away in Karazhan. Again, like I said, a lot of the order halls take you to Karazhan crypts. Very easily shove it in there. Then, for preservation. Alright. What is a good spot in Broken Isles for preservation? We got Val'sharah. We got Druid stuff. We got maybe a new dragon staff. Green dragon nature staff linked to the dream. Right here in Val'sharah. Easy peasy. Then, I had another one. This one could be, this one I was thinking of the shield from Blackwing Lair. So I was thinking maybe like a red dragon healing relic stolen by Nefarian and hidden away. Maybe in like Blackrock Mountain or something. Or, you use a spot. Maybe it's hidden away by Deathwing in High Mountain in his lair there. You got a couple spots they could put it, like I said. Because you have other artifacts go to the spots. If they do, we are still working with a lot of questions. But I do hope we see artifacts. If we don't do the quest lines and we see the artifacts involved, then Evokers, if they're playable, will have some artifacts. So maybe we'll get a little bit of something. A little bit of something there. If there's legendaries, Evokers are going to get legendaries typed for them. So we'll get a little bit of something there. Because all the legendaries had flavor text. And I do like some flavor text. Now for the Order Hall, again, a lot of work. Especially for a campaign. You got Order Hall armor. You got, with the artifact weapons, you'd have different skins. They'd have to make a full set of skins for the artifact weapon while giving everyone else a new one for the remix for sure. You'd have to add them to the mage towers. I know there's a lot of work. And that's why I would think if we do see an Order Hall and a campaign for Evokers in this remix, maybe we will already have known that Order Halls have been announced in Midnight. Because we are still far away from Legion Remix. But I do think Evokers having an Order Hall would be cool. And like I said, my pick was Abriz. And as far as artifacts, they got a lot of Dragonflights. They got a lot of stuff that they can add in and get Evokers some stuff. And here's the thing. Alright, here is the thing. They have added new armor for some events. When we got the new tier 2 for Evokers, Death Knights, Monks, Demon Hunters, that was cool. Do we see Evokers get an Order Hall? What if Evokers get an Order Hall? We'll have to see. We'll have to see when they announce more in Remix. I would love it. If they don't have it, I'm still going to play Legion Remix. Legion Remix is amazing. It's going to be a 10 out of 10, in my opinion. I'm just hoping we get some class stuff. It's got to have some class stuff. It can't not have class stuff. Because it's the class expansion. Anyways, I'll see y'all. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.